Hello, I'm James Zimoha. Welcome to Africa News. Let's see your headlines. Observers report low turnout in Congo-Brazzaville's presidential poll as President Sassou Nguesso seeks another term in office. Tanzanian authorities confirm 6 health workers are dead and 3 missing after a boat capsized on Lake Tanganyika. At least 66 people have died following days of heavy rains in Kenya as thousands are displaced. We begin in East Africa, where severe flooding in Kenya has claimed at least 66 lives after days of heavy rainfall triggered rising waters across parts of the country. The capital, Nairobi, has been among the worst affected.
Dozens of people have died in Kenya after days of heavy rainfall triggered widespread flooding across the country. Police confirmed additional deaths over the weekend as search and rescue operations continue in several affected areas. The capital, Nairobi, has been among the worst hit. Torrential overnight rain flooded major streets, damaged homes and vehicles, and disrupted daily life across several neighborhoods. Emergency teams rescued 11 people after a minibus taxi, locally known as a matatu, became trapped in rising floodwaters. Heavy rainfall over the past week caused rivers to burst their banks, flooding homes and damaging roads, power lines and water infrastructure. Several roads have been closed after bridges were damaged, while some schools in Nairobi were also flooded following a weekend downpour. Authorities say more than 2,000 families have been displaced across at least 17 counties. Officials have urged residents living in low-lying or flood-prone areas to move to safer ground as the risk of further flooding remains high. Kenyan President William Ruto said the government has activated a multi-agency emergency response plan focusing on expanding rescue operations, evacuating residents and clearing blocked drainage systems. Meteorologists warn that the early phase of the long rain season could bring more heavy downpours in the coming weeks, raising concerns about additional flooding.
Authorities in Tanzania have concluded a search and rescue operation after a boat carrying health workers capsized on Lake Tanganyika, leaving 7 people dead and 1 missing. The incident, which happened on Friday, has been linked to strong winds on the world's longest freshwater lake. Isaac Lukando has more.
Authorities in Tanzania have revised the number of deceased health workers to 7, up from 6, following the conclusion of rescue efforts on Lake Tanganyika. The bodies of the deceased have been repatriated to various regions in Tanzania for burial. At a memorial service in the northwestern town of Kigoma, authorities described the health workers as heroes. The health workers who died while traveling on Lake Tanganyika were en route to a remote village near the border with Burundi. There they were set to carry out an immunization campaign as part of efforts to promote Tanzania's universal healthcare program. According to initial reports, the boat was carrying 18 passengers and lacked life jackets. The country's president has pledged government support to survivors and the families of the deceased. Boat capsizing incidents on Lake Tanganyika are relatively frequent, often driven by high winds, strong waves, and overloading, with dozens of deaths reported since 2013. Bordering Tanzania, Burundi, Zambia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, Lake Tanganyika is the world's longest freshwater lake and the second deepest. Its massive size and depth make it vulnerable to sudden and often violent storms, posing a threat to many surrounding communities that rely on it for their livelihoods and transport. Isaac Lukando for A News in Dar es Salaam.
Observers have reported a low voter turnout in Sunday's presidential election in the Republic of Congo. The vote is widely expected to extend the rule of President Denis Sassou Nguesso, who has led the Central African nation for more than 4 decades. A news correspondent, Chris Ochamga, has more from Kinshasa.
Electoral officials in the Republic of Congo are counting ballots after voting ended on Sunday. Preliminary results are expected within 48 to 72 hours. But it's widely expected that the country's longtime leader, Denis Sassou Nguesso, will win another 5-year term. He was up against 6 candidates, but most of them couldn't travel around to canvass for votes. 2 prominent opposition leaders were imprisoned and others went into exile, citing persecution by the ruling government. Several opposition parties also boycotted the elections, calling into question the credibility of the voting process. Sassou has been in power almost continuously since 1979, and some political analysts accuse the 82-year-old leader of using state institutions to maintain his hold on power. But the country's prime minister has dismissed the accusations, saying the country's oversight bodies will ensure the election is fair. According to US-based NGO Freedom House, the Republic of Congo is one of the most repressive countries in the world when it comes to its political landscape. 3 million people were registered to vote out of the country's population of 5.7 million. Observers say there was a low voter turnout. The Republic of Congo is rich in oil, but it faces high levels of poverty and youth unemployment, which some people say discourage voters from casting their ballots. Chris Ochamringa for A News in Kinshasa.
Algeria's health ministry has launched new guidelines to address rising obesity rates across the country. Authorities are calling for coordinated action across sectors, including education, agriculture, and trade, to tackle the growing public health challenge.
The streets and markets of the capital, Algiers, are awash with tempting delicacies, readily available soft drinks, washed-down rich, decadent desserts. But this diet has become a recipe for weight gain for many people.
Some statistics indicate that half of the adult population in Algeria suffers from obesity and that women are among the affected groups. It has even begun to affect children, which has prompted Algerian authorities to focus on confronting this epidemic.
The health minister has reaffirmed the government's commitment to combat the growing issue through the development and distribution of a national guide for obesity management. The reference document is designed to support healthcare professionals in prevention, early diagnosis, and treatment.
The significant increase in this serious phenomenon has prompted concerted efforts from multiple ministries and sectors to combat it. Obesity is on the rise and is a major concern for the Algerian state, which is actively working to raise awareness and eradicate it.
For health officials, obesity is not just an issue of appearance or excess weight. It is also a chronic and complex disease associated with serious health risks, such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, high blood pressure, and certain types of cancer. Health practitioners have welcomed the government's efforts.
The guidelines issued by the Algerian Ministry of Health fall within 2 points. The first is healthy food, and the second is sports and continuous movement, meaning encouraging people to eat healthily and move more.
Although residents welcomed the health ministry's initiative, some say individual responsibility plays an important role, while others want stronger food regulations.
I personally work in administration and strive to find time for physical activity, which will be the best way to avoid the risks of obesity. I believe the solution lies in a balanced diet to prevent falling into this disease.
No matter how careful you are to make your lunch healthy, you will not be able to. The Algerian state must monitor the food industry chain more.
Authorities are also calling for a coordinated national effort across multiple sectors such as education, agriculture, trade, and civil society to curb the public health challenge.
Rising poverty and mineral demand are pushing families in central Nigeria to mine inside their own homes. The shift is spreading across Plateau State as residents dig deep shafts in residential compounds. Many say the risky practice has become a lifeline for survival.
Residents in parts of Plateau State, Nigeria, are digging narrow mining wells inside residential compounds to extract minerals such as tin and columbite. The trend reflects growing economic pressure in mining communities where unemployment and limited income sources are pushing households toward hazardous but profitable activities. Miners say they began digging inside their compound to support household needs.
The reason why they are working near this my house, I have 4 children and I have nothing to do, nothing to solve my problem. My children, they have finished school, nothing to do. They are just staying at home. Instead of them to be sitting nothing doing, that's when they join the mining. We are just managing our life with this mining. Now so they will dig the well and go inside and do the well. Now so we go get money to buy fertilizer to farm.
Young says families see mining as a way to keep young people occupied rather than turning to crime.
Police, they are coming here and we explain to them, instead of our youth to becoming terrorists, it's not good. They have to manage themselves. You see, as our youth, they don't want to, but we advise them, see, it's better for you to come and do this work. Instead of you to go and thief, to go and becoming a kidnap, to come to something terrorist like this, we don't want.
Other miners warn that banning the activity without alternatives could create new social problems.
If the government will stop this, we'll have a lot of challenges in a lot of communities, because we have a lot of youth today, graduate, non-graduate. Some of the youth today could not able to go to school because they don't have access for them to pay their school fees.
Officials say the expansion of residential mining is raising safety concerns as communities balance economic survival with growing environmental and health risks.
The Kenya Safari Rally has delivered a historic result, with Toyota driver Takamoto Katsuta securing his first World Championship victory. Katsuta claimed the win during his 94th start in the World Rally Championship. The victory also marks the first time a Japanese driver has won a WRC rally since Kenjiro Shinozuka triumphed in Ivory Coast in 1992. The 32-year-old says it was a difficult race and thanked his team for their support.
So many difficulties on the moments. I had very hard to walk with me, and team was always believing me, even I'm failing all the time. So yeah, thanks to the whole team. Finally here because of them. And
well, that's all we have today on African News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.